hated how I was with the sugar, because whenever I would try and go through the bulks or just like the standard American diet, it was just an excuse to justify junk food. Like I didn't actually need it, which
Right.
is another statement I'm trying to make for this powerlifting meet, is proving that I'm at less body weight, less body fat, stronger than I was, 100 pounds heavier on a standard American diet, now on a carnivore diet, where I've had countless people tell me you need carbs to gain weight, you need carbs to do your big lifts, you're never going to be able to bulk on a diet like that. So I'm just, at this point, it's just a statement.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to episode 235 of the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast, your weekly workout motivation to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. Michael Miola and I both finished a 30-day Lion Diet challenge together where we ate nothing but red meat, salt, and water for 30 days. We'll be sharing our results as well as what we learned. Michael is a competitive power lifter, so we'll be overhauling his macros and his meal plan. As of now, we are starting to look at meats. If you are unfamiliar with who Michael is, check out episode 244, from 308 to 175 pounds without counting calories or cardio with Michael Miola. That was a good talk. He's an exceptional coach himself, more specifically a NASM certified corrective exercise specialist. His Instagram is m_Miola, and his website is www.trainwithkickoff.com/coaches/Michael Miola. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. If you are listening on an audio-only channel, you won't see this, but on YouTube, I'll be placing a video slideshow documenting all of my personal meals that I've had for the last 30 days, very similar to how Michael was eating too. If you are unfamiliar with what the Lion Diet is and how to do it, this should help bring it to life. Ezekiel 37:5b says, "Behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live." This week in our weekly Wednesday night Bible studies, we are discussing Ezekiel chapters 36 and 37, two of my favorite chapters. This passage was key for me during the Lion Diet and this workout today, actually, that we just had, because with no supplements, no carbs, and only the very best sources of fat and protein for the human body, I'm reminded of the value that breathing, especially deep breathing, plays, not just in our spiritual lives and overall well-being, but also in our gym performance. More details on our online Bible studies, shoot me an email, admin@supersetyourlife.com. Totally free, of course. We'd love to see you there. Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll be going deep on this verse there. Here it is again. "Behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live." Ezekiel 37:5b. Powerful prophecy. Lots of power. And now on to our powerful guest. Michael, welcome back to the show. How was your weekend, pal?
Hey, it was great. Thank you for having me. It's glad to be back. Good weekend. I'm excited to get started with the week.
Very, very good. So what made you want to try the Lion Diet in the first place, other than me suggesting it for you and kind of encouraging it?
I am a fiend for challenges, truth be told. I love fixating on things, and I love seeing that I can do stuff and proving to myself. And, going through my own weight loss journey, going from the standard American diet to low carb to keto to carnivore, felt like the natural next step to see how it was. So that's kind of that came about. Plus,
paleo is the gateway drug to keto, and keto is the gateway drug to carnivore.
Yeah.
Carnivore is the gateway drug to the Lion Diet.
Just the hole got deeper and deeper. I just kept wanting to go down.
So it's almost like the less junk you eat, the better you feel, right?
Yeah, just the ultimate elimination diet. Just the
Yeah. I was trying to explain it in one of my last consultations in a way to where it's like fasting. It's as close as you can come to fasting, to the point to where a lot of the people that I listen to that teach and recommend the Lion Diet and that are really experts on it say that you don't need to get worried about and get too carried away about trying to do too many long fasts or anything, because you're already getting a lot of the benefits from fasting, because your digestion is so much more easier than it is when you're consuming 20, 30, 40 ingredients. I would say most Americans are probably over 40 or 50 ingredients total by the end of the day. And you and I, most days here, were 2 or 3 ingredients max, right?
Yeah, yeah. I kept it very simple, just like the red meat and salt, and I didn't miss anything really. So it's great for when you're busy too, right? That way of cooking and just eating too. Like, don't like it just takes 5 minutes to cook up my stuff and I'm good to go. That was my favorite part personally.
Totally. What were you most afraid of starting the Lion Diet?
Definitely giving up my pre-workouts, my caffeine and coffee. That was like the one thing that I felt like I would have a hard time letting go of. And oddly enough, as I expressed to you last week, I actually don't miss really coffee anymore, which I feel kind of weird saying, but like I just, yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like a lot of that stuff is ritual based, like the ritual of brewing the coffee and sitting down
Yes.
doing stuff, or like the ritual of making my pre-workout and sipping it on the way to the gym, like that kind of stuff. So those are the things I was most afraid of getting, starting the Lion Diet is how I would do with that. And
And
I
are you 100% past all that, or is there like still a part of you that's like, man, I miss my coffee, man, I miss that?
there might be a small part more so with like I would probably say some pre-workouts and stuff like that too, just because I do miss like that tingle. I guess like I don't know, like maybe I'm like a crack addict. I don't know. Like,
I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way because
yeah, yeah,
because I found Ghost energy drinks in particular was the hardest thing, man. It was like 15 days in, 20 days in, I was still craving them like crazy. And it got so bad that I told the guys at the front desk at Yellowstone Fitness, I told every single one of them, I was like, hey, I'd like to have a Ghost energy drink. And they're like, okay, what flavor? And I was like, yeah, no, sorry, I need to finish. I'd like to have a Ghost energy
I'm
drink,
like,
but
yeah, I
but I
can't.
cut but I cut caffeine and I'm like a couple weeks into it and like they look at you like, oh my, like, you poor thing.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm just like, no, man, if I ask for a Ghost energy drink, your answer is no, please. Just
yeah.
like no matter how much I beg, don't give it to me. They're like, okay. So they're all kind of cheering for me. But yeah, man, like cutting sugar, piece of cake.
Mm,
Going from that to artificial sweeteners, like that's not that hard. But man, giving up even just a sugar-free energy drink, that was probably the toughest thing for me. And then my pre-workout, I just gave it to one of my buddies at the gym. I was like halfway through it, and I was like, here, look,
yeah.
it's an awesome pre-workout. I've used it for years. It's great. ESP by Metabolic Nutrition. That stuff got me through lots of competitions. I love that stuff. But caffeine is super addictive, and so are artificial sweeteners, and so the two of them together,
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
it's really hard to cut, but like you kind of feel a sense of pride and accomplishment after you do it, huh? And so you're like, okay, I own you, you don't own me.
Yeah, it's my choice. Like I don't feel like if these things if I do ever go back to having that stuff, it'll be on my terms, not because I feel like I can't function without it.
Right. What was your favorite meal that you consumed?
Oh,
If you had
give
to
me
pick one.
give me any reason to eat those ribeyes you had for me on that plan. Like I was ribeye every day. Thankfully, I go through like a meat delivery service, so I was getting 10 to 12 ribeyes sent to me every month, and then I would buy some from the supermarket. So I was just having a ribeye a day, and I'm like, this feels like cheating. Like I don't even know, man. Like I don't, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I'm dieting. Yeah, yeah, ribeyes with the some of the tallow in there too was really great. It was just the best part of my day.
Uh-huh. Did you notice any increase of an appetite specifically for undercooked meats, or for like did you notice that you like prefer to cook your meat less by the end of it? I'm just curious. That's usually what happens to me, and I hear that from others a lot.
Yeah, it was actually really strange. I noticed that I didn't really enjoy it as much on the random days where I might have overcooked it or cooked it too long to where it wasn't. It was more like medium. Like I
Yeah.
definitely preferred more of like the blue rare to medium rare, and that just like it was so good that way. I've noticed. Like, I don't know if I can go to like totally like raw meat or anything like that, but the blue rare and stuff like that is definitely how I really like eating my steak.
Of everybody that I'm training right now, Wendy gets the blue ribbon for being the most savage when it comes to how blue her steaks are.
Is that
Yeah, she basically just heats them up in the air fryer, man.
oh,
Mine has to be blue rare in the middle.
yeah.
You know me. I'm kind of on the entrepreneur budget right now, and so all of my meals were they averaged to less than $6 a day. So I did like mostly ground meats, and so we did splurge and get steaks a couple times. Taylor picked up she found that they had some sales on some bone-in New Yorks. I'd never had a bone-in New York. That was
Oh,
delicious, man. So fatty on the outsides. And so,
that is great.
yeah,
Yeah.
a steak like that, you want to sear it just like really hard and really, really high heat on the edges. You know, it's probably carcinogenic. It's
Yeah.
probably carcinogenic, but whatever, man. It tastes really good. You know, and then just give the fat pieces like a little bit of extra time. Make sure that that you salt them up really heavy before you do it too.
Oh yeah, the fat caps and the fat pieces. That's the good stuff.
Totally. What was your least expected victory that surprised you on the lion diet? Like, whoa, I didn't know that like my joints would feel better, or that like I would just like, or that I would have less anxiety, or like or like whatever. Like, is there anything random that you like kind of came in this for that you just didn't expect?
Yeah, the inflammation in my elbows like completely went away. Like just
Huh.
going full on lion diet. Like I know people if they're listening can't really see, but a lot of times when I would sleep, I would have to have like my hands overhead just to kind of help with the inflammation. It would get so bad, and I that's completely gone now. That's like one of the biggest things I noticed from just going strictly red meat, salt, and water.
Wow. It's the ultimate anti-inflammation diet, isn't it?
Yeah, that was definitely, and it almost I was so used to the pain and the inflammation to the point where like hammer curls and stuff like that would hurt. Like there was a lot that I couldn't do in the gym because it would hurt, and I was so used to that, and then it got to a point where I was like, oh wait, this hasn't been a thing. Like my elbows and wrists and shoulders, like I feel great.
I just finished reading this book. You would absolutely love it. It's called Kiltz's Keto is Carnivore,
Oh,
and it's of all the carnivore books that I've read, nutrition books that I've read, this one is like the most animated. There's a whole bunch of pictures in it. So, you know, for music performance majors and bodybuilding coaches like me, like it's kind of nice to have
the more
the term.
visual stuff.
Yeah, more visual and break down the terminology more like in a way that I can understand it, you know,
Mhm.
because I'm not a doctor, and so I love listening to doctors talk and explain this stuff, but being able to track with everything they say is sometimes a challenge. Dr. Kiltz keeps it so simple. I love his work. But how inflammation affects the body, it affects your brain, it affects your heart, it affects your liver, it affects your GI tract, it affects your bones, your thyroid, your skin, your muscle, your kidneys, your lungs. Um, a lot of the a lot of the plants that we consume, people don't realize they have lectins in them, they have phytic acid in them, they have, see, I'm trying to find the page where he really goes into detail about it, um, but these yeah, lectins, cyanide, toxins, anyway, even even fiber causes inflammation.
Mm,
And I mean, all plant sources, all plant-based foods eventually end up breaking down to sugar, and sugar causes glycation, and glycation is inflammatory. And so
yeah,
and so that's why when people fast, they feel so much better, because they're just not eating anything that can possibly trigger inflammation. And
yeah,
so red meat just triggers it lower than like anything else, because it's a very refined source of fat and protein. You know,
mhm,
if it comes from a ruminant animal, it's been digested 4 times, right?
yeah, yeah. I know. I was actually listening to a podcast the other week. Professor Noakes was talking about sugar and how the body, like people think of it as like the body's preferred source, but that's because the body's trying to get rid of it so quickly
Hmm.
because like you know toxic to the body. So your
It's
body,
toxic. Your body says, "Get it the heck out of here. We'll use it for
yeah.
fuel if we have to."
A lot of people don't realize that as you know, that the body will make its own glucose. So
Right.
you don't need the outside nonsense. But what about you? What anything you've been? I know you're going to keep doing the lion diet, but anything you've noticed for improvements and small victories?
Oh yeah, man, all kinds of stuff. One thing on that first though, to your point, fat is this is what Dr. Kilt says on page 77. Fat is the fuel for the body. All sugar and amino acids must be taken to the liver and converted to fat via insulin in the liver cells. Without that conversion, we would not be able to live. Cancer cells thrive and survive on sugar, and likely sugar and other plant phytochemicals and antigens are the causes of cancer. There's no way to completely stop glycation, but avoiding carbohydrates and sugars can help slow the process. Fat is the I'm skipping around and just going to the points that I highlighted.
Mhm.
Fat is the only fuel for your body. Fat equals energy. You must convert most sugar and amino acids to fat to be alive. Sugar and amino acids are not direct fuels for the mitochondria. Isn't that crazy? Because I've heard most bodybuilding coaches explain it as in a way that sugar is the direct fuel for your body,
Yeah.
and and that and that um and that a complex carbohydrate is a more complicated type of sugar that needs to get further broken down and simplified to become sugar. And then if you take a step further, you have fat, which is like a super complex carbohydrate. So it would have to get, like broken down and digested even more. So it's even less of a direct fuel source. That is horrible. That is absolutely the opposite
Yeah.
of how the human body works.
Yeah.
Fat is your primary fuel source.
Fat is fuel. That stuff's also interesting to me, just how the body responds and just all that stuff. It's so cool.
Right. Um, okay, you asked, is there anything that I've experienced? What's funny is I've had people tell me this, and I didn't even notice it, but it happened last time I did the lion diet, and it happened this time too. That I'm just much more peaceful, calm, just like less edgy, just like stuff doesn't stuff doesn't bother me that normally would. My wife told me that. My mother-in-law told me that, and so it's definitely the truth if it's coming from my mother-in-law, right? So that was, I don't know, like that was just like a super nice compliment to hear. Um, and I think most of it, to be completely honest, is the caffeine. Uh, they say that caffeine is robbing tomorrow's energy for today,
Oh,
and I would go so far as to say that it takes tonight's energy for the morning. So, like, especially when I was on contest prep, I was consuming like 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams a day of caffeine,
cool.
um, not counting the other stimulants that are in it too, like Ariadurensis and stuff. And like I'm always having to check the banned substance list because there's actually stimulants in a lot of pre-workouts that like apparently aren't too far away from crack. Not that I would know, but like they're real, but like the chemical structure is actually like not too different, and like you can buy this stuff at GNC.
Yeah.
so I'm always having to check like what's acceptable and not acceptable if I'm competing as a natural bodybuilder. But it would give me like a focus, but kind of like an angry, anxious focus, and so I could do my workouts, and then in the evenings I was kind of shot. It's like I would have to be that dad that is going to bed at 8 or 9 p.m. And like
Yeah.
can't really stay up late doing the work that I'm doing right now because like I'm you know how I go. I pretty much work myself 8, 9, 10 hours a day until I can't think anymore, and then after that, it's all the rest of the stuff that I don't have to really do with that sharp of a brain, And sometimes my work days go all the way till like 10 p.m. But burning the midnight oil used to be like impossible, and so now without caffeine, my energy levels are more consistent throughout the day, and I'm definitely sleeping a lot better. So all that together added up, yeah, I'm in a bit better of a mood. Just feel better overall, less anxious.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm not really needing much of the coffee either, is because my sleep's improved too. I've noticed like I'm getting up
Mm,
naturally before my alarm and just kind of ready to get after it. And kind of like you said, like borrowing from later energy, I guess, like the caffeine spikes and just like, I feel like it's no different than sugar in a way, where you get like that initial dump and then it just never, because it has such like a half life to where if you're not careful when you cut off caffeine, it can really disrupt your sleep. You get
yep.
shitty sleep, you wake up, rinse and repeat, you need that coffee. So I feel like for me, just kind of going cold turkey and just cutting it out really helped to regulate my sleep and just kind of improve the energy for me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was gonna ask you, where did you buy most of your meat, but I think you pretty much already answered that. So you got most of it delivered. Did you get all of it delivered, or did you go to the store at all?
Yeah, so I do something called Butcher Box. So they have like a couple different like cutting options you can do, like a 6 cut option or 12. I think I'm actually going to upgrade to the 12 cuts that you can do. But yeah, it's all sourced and really good quality meat that I just get sent right to my doorstep once a month, and I get to hand select the boxes too. So which was really nice for this because I could just literally just make my entire box ribeyes and just have ribeyes sent to me every month. And then I think I told you last month they were doing a special on lamb, so I added 5 pounds of lamb to it as well, which was, I take it back actually. That was my favorite part, was the lamb I got to have for like an entire week, where I got off ground beef for a bit when I had that rash.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, I wanted to go into that. We need to talk about your rash. I know I knew I was forgetting something. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, I retract my favorite part was, my favorite meal that I consumed was definitely the leg of lamb that I got to have for like a week, going through 5. That was definitely magical. I forgot how much I love lamb.
Oh, heck yeah. I love it. My favorite meal, I mean, like I've loved every single one of them. Like there hasn't been a bad meal. There hasn't been a single time where I was like, oh man, burgers again. I'm just like, heck yeah, man, burgers. Like I'm just like amped for it every single time. Granted, I have been eating one meal a day. That probably has a lot to do with it.
Mhm.
So my macros, sorry.
When you typically have your one meal, do you do it more in the morning before your day starts, or you do it more when you're like? I've always been curious.
Oh heck no, man! I'm a worthless piece of crap after I eat that meal. I go to bed and I don't do
Oh, so
nothing.
you feast and fast. You fast and.
Yeah, yeah, and especially after reading Dr. Kiltz's book too. Like I don't feel bad about it anymore. I used to think it was a problem because like like every other nutritionist pretty much on the planet says that you shouldn't eat right before going to bed.
Yeah,
That's true if you're eating carbs
yeah.
because you don't want that insulin spike before bed. That really messes up your circadian rhythm. If you're eating meat like you're supposed to, because we're human beings, because we're at the top of the food chain, just like lions, therefore we should be eating similar to lions, in my opinion. So if we should be eating the same way that lions are, if we should be eating in a way that's similar, when in doubt, especially on the lion diet, think like a lion, right? How does a lion eat? They eat their meats like typically raw, right? Like most lions, to my knowledge, aren't actually cooking their food, right? So any, anyway, having that large, that's what lions do. They eat a very, very large meal and then they rest and then they digest and then they might go another day or two without food. So, so Dr. Kiltz in his book explains that as being like a much more natural way. Just like in a perfect world, if you like if it works for you and if it works for your lifestyle to do that,
Yeah.
um, that's what I've made work for my lifestyle, and because like I don't even really have the time to like sit down and have a meal most of the time throughout the day, and
Mhm.
so that's kind of like a time to be able to enjoy it and like actually think about how it's affecting my body, think about what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I should probably have like a little more protein or a little less protein because of this and that. Um, but yeah, it's I've really enjoyed having one meal a day. And so anyway, um, when I do have it, it's just like it's super simple. It's like, all right, it's been like 22 hours, 21 hours since I've had anything really. And so if this is going to be my one meal, what's everything that should be in it? And I've lately just been weighing out one food too. I don't even have to weigh anything else. I just weigh how much 73% beef that I'm eating, because like the fat to protein ratio is perfect, and I just make sure I eat all the fat and don't drain or waste any of it.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I gotta start making some of that tallow gravy too. That stuff looks immaculate on your stories you're posting. I
Thanks, man.
got,
Yeah, I've got so many compliments on it. Like it looks like mashed potatoes. What the heck is that? I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, no, it's just tallow and salt, but there's an art to making it. I've been making it every single day because I've been really trying to perfect it, and so it's probably like I don't know, 3 weeks straight that I've pretty much been having that every single day with my with my meal. And and sometimes I nail it and sometimes I don't quite nail it, and sometimes it turns out better. And so like I said, it's an art, and it comes down to preference. Like, do you like it runny? Like, what kind of texture do you like with it? But yeah, I like to get it as thick as thick as I can and have it still be runny. And it's a little bit more volume too. So it's
yeah,
like
sure.
I don't really have this issue, and volume kind of goes out the window when you're on the lion diet, as it should be. But if you're one of those people that like kind of misses having like really big meals, like just like a big meal to look at, like more food, like it takes something that's really small and makes it like really big. So
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed too. Doing carnivore, going into lion, is how much I can eat and not feel lethargic, bloated, or like I need to walk this off. Like
right.
I feel great after I eat. Like truth be told, there would be times where I may eat a little more than what's on the meal plan, just because I think I expressed to you too, like my satiety was all over the place when I first got into it too. Like I just craved meat and I became ravenous, and
Hmm.
I would eat. sometimes even like an extra pound of meat. And I would even wake up the next morning down in weight, or I would just feel great. Like, so that was one thing I noticed too, is hunger went up, but I didn't feel bloated, lethargic, guilty, bad. Like I felt really good.
Yeah. Your rash. So remind me what happened again. Describe to me what your what symptoms you were getting from your rash, and this got worse when you were on the Lion Diet.
Yeah. So it started off as just kind of like almost like poison ivy, almost like little dots, something that I would recognize. And I didn't think too much of it, to be honest. And then once I got kind of just eating, the 80-20 ground beef and whatnot, it got really bad to the point where it was my fingers were swollen. It was crawling up my arm, knees, my feet were like mittens, just like swollen. And yeah, it was bad. I actually had to take myself to my urgent care to try and get on like some type of steroid or prednisone to try and get an edge on it, get caught up on it. And then it was when I noticed I switched to the lamb for that week that it started to actually clear up.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures that you texted me. Because that threw me. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. Like this is the ultimate anti-inflammation diet. Like how could like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be having issues like that pop up. And so right after that, I think it was on session number. I'm gonna pull it up right now on Carnivore Coach's Corner. Session number 45. Yeah, reversing Lyme disease, chronic inflammation, and co-infections with Angela Christine. 1 hour and 17 minutes into that podcast, we talked all about histamine issues and what to do if you experience histamine reactions on the Lion Diet. And so, essentially, what we discussed was that is that if you are a person that is highly susceptible to histamine issues, those can flare up if you increase your consumption of beef. But switching from beef to another ruminant animal like venison, or in our case lamb is what we did, that usually fixes it. That's
Yeah.
what she told me, and so that's what I told you, right? And that's what we tried. So what happened?
Yeah, and it definitely makes sense because it was during that week where I had that lamb. I swapped out all of the 80-20 ground beef from the plan to the leg of lamb. And that's when I started noticing it cleared up and it started kind of working its way out.
Beautiful. Yeah, because I'm looking at the second picture that you texted me, and it looks
Right?
like my hand. There's nothing on it.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. So more reason to eat more lamb. I don't need any more reasons to eat more lamb.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but I never expected that. I guess maybe just kind of going all in on the beef, because before I kind of dabbled in other stuff, but maybe just the strict lion, just with all the ground beef, must have like flared up like some histamine response or just something like that.
Yeah. How much do you weigh?
So I weigh 170. So I actually lost about 6 pounds on the Lion Diet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yep. That's why I was kind of telling you I'm in like a crossroads for that meat coming up. Like I said, I don't know. Do I just kind of go down to 165? Do I blow up to 181? Do I get really big and do 198? So I'm just like, the choices are limitless right now, and I feel really good about any of them, to be truth be told.
Okay. So when's your next powerlifting meet?
June 8th is going to be, so I'm officially 12 weeks out. This one is more so was just spontaneous. This was something that was really important to me that I just kind of did. And this is just going to get my numbers back on the platform after kind of competing again, so that I can go into a much longer 16-week prep for this much larger meet in November of this year. So I'm looking to compete 2 times this year.
Nice. So probably be at the you being natural, probably staying at the same competing weight for both shows is what you do, probably, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards, and I'm feeling really good about it. I just, like I said, a lot of options. I'm not sure where I want to go with it, but I'm feeling stronger than I ever have.
Okay. For somebody that is not a power lifter, nor will ever be a power lifter, what explain it to me in a little bit more detail then. What your goal is for this upcoming meet on June 8th. Okay.
So
Where are you at with your lifts? Where are you hoping to be most competitive?
I'm hoping, I haven't really looked at what other people are lifting in those weight classes for kind of a me versus me. I'm hoping to surpass my lifts from when I was a plus size fatty. Just honestly, on like
and your entire goal is to prove that you can do this on the ketogenic diet and do better than you did before, right?
that's the statement I'm trying to make. That's the goal and the statement.
Cool, man. See, I love it. This because I just did the same thing with bodybuilding, right? After all my shows, going to the touching back to what we were talking about earlier, the paleo, keto, eventually the carnivore rabbit trail, just to realize, wow, like I fill out better, on the carnivore. Like I have more glycogen on, and now I'm seeing studies that are showing that low carb athletes typically do hold glycogen
Yeah,
better than the high carb athletes. Oh yeah, I said that to you, right?
yeah, I got to look into that a bit more. I just kind of looked at the front thing that you sent me, but I got to read into that a bit more because that is super interesting. How low carb actually have more glycogen in the stored up than
Yeah, good luck, man.
fruit.
It's like a 20-page peer reviewed study, but
Yeah,
the abstract I understood, and I was like, wow, yeah, okay. I mean, that's what I've experienced. I feel like I can hold glycogen so much better without carbs. Back when I was consuming carbs, I was either full or flat, full, flat,
yeah,
full, flat, and now it's like I'm just always full. I never go
yeah,
flat.
yeah. Like my pumps have been the best they've ever been on Lion and Carnivore. It was so
Yeah,
super wild. Yeah, so I'm super amped up, and along with what I was saying about the elbows, like the fact that I don't suffer from any type of like inflammation is really super promising. Because anytime I've ever competed and gotten close towards the end of my prep, towards like the meet day, I would feel just like out of a freaking garbage disposal. Like my
yeah.
joints would be a train wreck. I had to take deloads, taper back my training, and now I just feel like I won't say put me in the next Limitless movie, but I definitely feel like like I was telling you before we went live, like I was disrespecting my bench press yesterday, just tossing up 225 plus, which I guess isn't that much, but at the lightest
Yeah.
body weight I've been, just like throwing 2 plates up like it's a stuffed animal. I got super amped about that. 12 weeks out, I think I can definitely get over 315 for sure at whatever body weight I decide with at 165 or 181 or whatever.
Yeah. I love it, dude. Your biceps, they're bigger than mine, man. That is not okay. I mean, here you are, a power lifter, and if you and I were actually at a show and we did a front double bicep, and they asked for a front double bicep, first of all, I'd have to do a good job of it, but I would have to definitely place more of my confidence in the other poses. And if they asked for a favorite pose and you threw out a front double bicep, I would do probably a side chest.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
My side chest would beat your front double bicep, just for the record. But
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, definitely. That was also another one of my goals this year is to just grow the biceps. Like I think I'm just going to play into my genetic strong suit and just see how big I can get my arms.
and you're vascular too in all your progress pictures that you text me.
Oh, it's nuts. Like I got people at my gym like but I mean, I
Like you
think
have a better physique than most bodybuilders, dude.
yeah, I mean, and that's where I lean out a lot is in my shoulders, like the shoulder striations and the biceps and the vascular. Like I was lifting this
Yeah.
and I had again the no carbs, but like I had veins crawling up my forearm into like my chest, shoulder, and I'm just like, this is nuts. This is addicting.
Yeah. You don't need what the dude at your local supplement store is telling you to buy to get a pump and to get a good workout, guys. This is somebody that takes no pre-workout and you have water and salt before your workout, right?
Yep, just that I've actually been using that salt you sent me, the Celtic sea salt there. I've just been throwing it right in my gallon of water every day in the morning and just chugging on that throughout the whole day to help keep me hydrated, and it just gets me through the day. Really stunts my appetite too, I've noticed. I'm not sure if that's something that you experienced or if that's like
Yeah. A lot of people, they think they're hungry, but they're like, oh, like it's halfway through the day, like I need my lunch break. I'm starting to feel like brain fog and stuff. Like no, that doesn't mean that you need lunch. You probably just need hydration and water. And then
yeah,
if you forget about food 15 minutes later, you'll be just fine, I promise. But
yeah,
but we just live in a society where it's like, oh, Taco Bell, oh heck yeah, man,
yeah,
it's been a stressful week. I could use some tacos,
yeah. They associate just like that, like a drug, right? Like I was just talking to someone at the gym.
Mhm.
I was talking to someone at my gym yesterday where he and I were both kind of saying like, there's no way you can't tell me that sugar isn't a drug, like the way how people kind of get with like processed food, sugar, like it's the
Yep.
most accessible drug because people find ways to bargain with it, justify getting it, and like I don't know, like I feel like that's just such a weird moral, like that's a weird thing to have with like a food. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know where I'm kind of going with that, but it's
Yeah.
just
No, I completely agree with you. Sugar should be viewed and categorized as a drug, not as a food.
yeah,
There's a price to pay for every single gram of sugar that enters your body.
yeah. And it was a lot of the reasons what got me away from it, where I went paleo, keto, carnivores, because I hated how I was with the sugar. Because whenever I would try and go through the bulks or just like the standard American diet, it was just an excuse to justify junk food or sugar or just finding ways to fit it in where I didn't actually need it. Allegedly,
Yeah,
looking at it, like I didn't actually need it, which
right.
is another statement I'm trying to make for this powerlifting meet is proving that I'm at less body weight, less body fat, stronger than I was, 100 pounds heavier on a standard American diet, now on a carnivore diet, where I've had countless people tell me you need carbs to gain weight, you need carbs to do your big lifts, you're never going to be able to bulk on a diet like that. So I'm just at this point it's just a statement.
Yeah. What should we do to optimize your diet from here to then so that like, okay, we're obviously not going to be strict lions the rest of our lives, right? Like, yes, we live in the real world, and yes, there's times where it's like, you know, I'll have something else. I mean, I think you and me are more strict than most people.
Yeah.
After this, I'm gonna be well. First of all, I'm going for another 30 days. I'm not done after this. I feel slightly just a little bit inauthentic, like I didn't do it right
Yeah.
because of the first. Yeah, it was the first 2 weeks straight that I was so sick. I still had bronchitis, and so
Yeah.
it was something that was going around here to where like whenever anybody got this specific bug, they're like, oh, get ready, you're gonna have it for a month. So it was kind of a nightmare.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Um,
I feel like you guys really were just like down for the count. Like I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Like I could barely breathe sometimes. Like every workout was a coughing fit for like a week straight, and so
Yeah.
I didn't take any time off of training. Of course, like I lose my mind if I do that, but I still did my workouts, but I scaled back like a lot so I could give my body a better chance to recover. And
You get
um,
the question right is how do people lift and train when they're sick? So I was actually going to ask you how you went about your training when you were feeling like that.
yeah, what I recommend is not to train
Hmm.
like most people do, and they're right in saying that. What I personally do, I still train because it's part of who I am. It's like my 10K run that I do with my dog every week. Like,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's like, yeah, I know that running 10K, like for me weighing 200 pounds is probably not like the smartest thing to do, but I love running, man. Like I feel like it makes me a better track coach too. It's like I'm doing what I'm teaching our,
Yeah.
our, our high school kids to do and everything. And it's like you get some vitamin D. It's like the one thing that my dog and I do the entire week, and so like
Yeah.
it gets her off of the property and just kind of like out and doing something. And so if I
Are
stop
you
doing
familiar with running?
if I stop doing all that and rest, I just kind of lose myself.
I'm the same way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that identity for sure.
Hmm.
How long about is that? I'm not too familiar with like running and stuff. Like a 10, like you do that. Like how long is that run usually with your dog? Like those 10Ks and stuff like that.
Oh, I say 10K, but really all I do is set my timer for 30 minutes because that's the secret. So I figured that running 30 minutes at the pace that I'm running, I'm conservatively running over a 5K. So realistically, I'm probably running like I don't know, like 11K, like maybe 12.
Okay.
So I just set my timer for 30 minutes and I just go at a super slow pace. And when my timer goes off, it's time to run back. So it's also a mental trick because there's like sometimes I feel like doing it and sometimes I don't. Whenever I do, I'm so glad that I did, man. Like I just kind of reflect on like where I'm at with my physique, where I'm at with my prep, where I'm at with my business, where I'm at in my marriage, where I'm at with my music. I just it's kind of like a State of the Union address on me, and then and it's just some time to kind of pray and connect with God. And so all those endorphins from the runner's high, like I just makes me feel amazing, man. To be completely honest, but the first like 10 or 20 minutes usually kind of suck. Like I just don't want to do it. And so the trick that you got to remind yourself when you run that far is you don't have to go 10K. You just have to go 5K. Like the next 5K is the best. Like the next half hour, you feel awesome. Like you feel like you can go forever, but that first half hour sucks, man. So if you can make it 5K, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Right on.
What about you? I don't think we've talked running very much. Is that something that you mess with at all?
I've done it every now and again. Like I'll dabble when I get like the random motivation, but yeah, I don't know. Like I'd rather, yeah, I can't. Maybe it's because I don't give it long enough to get to that zone where people talk about the runner's high and just where it's very euphoric and you're with your thoughts. But like for me, I just think about this sucks. Like I need to, like I'm one of those where I'm the opposite end where I need to be on a treadmill to run because if I'm outside, I'm just gonna not run.
Yeah.
I need like a treadmill to force me to stay at like a pace whenever I choose it might be.
I had to do my run one time when without my dog, and that's when I was in New Hampshire. I was coaching Nate through his last show, the one where he got second place. He missed his pro card by a hair, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, split judging decision. So half the judges thought that he was the best guy at the show. Anyway, that story's on our podcast. the one with Nathaniel Gates. I think it's like episode 200 or something. But yeah, I had to do one run without my dog, and it just like I felt lonely, man. I was like, yeah, I was like, I felt just like you probably feel, and
Yeah.
so I think maybe that's my edge. You need to go get an Australian Shepherd.
I need a dog. Like yeah, it'll be like a treadmill, right? Like I just keep getting that pace.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to run when she's looking at you like, all right, where are we going next? Where are we going next? I don't know. Let's go over here.
Keep it going.
Right on. So yeah, so we need to optimize your diet, right? Because we are, and we're doing same thing with me. So after my 30 days, oh yeah, and on the sick thing that we were talking about earlier. So that's if there were any sins in my diet or like an asterisk at all, it would be like I was taking cough drops, like I took Theraflu, so there's a little bit of maltodextrin and like some some bull crap in that, and so I just didn't feel like even though I've gone 30 days, like I don't feel like I've really got my money's worth from it. So the last time that I did it was 49 days, and I remember that most of the benefits that I experienced from it were the last 3 weeks. So I kind of want to get that again, and I'd like to beat my old record anyway. So that's why I'm going. So that's why I'm going for 60 days. But yeah, after this, I'm reintroducing. I already have it figured out. Creatine, glycerol, phosphate, transalytyl glutamine. These are both more bioavailable than like L-glutamine and creatine monohydrate, so that's what I prefer. And then keto bricks for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's literally it, man. Like I don't miss eggs, I don't miss pork, I don't miss nothing else, and so yeah. I'll probably just go to like leaner cuts of beef for like venison. We still have a little bit of venison left over, and so it'll allow me to be able to like have some more leaner meats. And something that Robert Sykes was quick to inform me of when he was here. I feel like a jerk because last time he was here was like the one time I wasn't eating keto bricks because I'm an affiliate with them, right? And so like I feel so I kind of like represent Keto Brick, and so if I cut out Keto Bricks, like it's got to be for something good, aka the Lion Diet, right? Yeah. So last thing that I ate before doing it, and the first thing that's going back in after the Lion Diet.
Oh yeah.
But what's
bricks,
that?
Bricks and beef every day. It's like if that was like the only thing I missed on Lion Diet was keto bricks.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of the only thing I missed too. Like seriously, didn't miss eggs or anything else, but just keto bricks. And so tallow, one of the big benefits from one of the many benefits going from a carnivore diet to a straight up Lion diet, and being so strict to even eliminate things like butter. When you make the switch from butter to tallow, if that's what you replace it with, which is what most people do when they do the Lion diet, you're consuming more choline. Choline is very, very good for your recovery and for your brain. And so I think that has had a lot to do with my increase in mental clarity. Like my mental clarity has gone through the roof the last the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, I had no mental clarity. I wanted to kill myself because that's when I cut caffeine and I had bronchitis. I was like, man, yeah, dude. Like if you and Danielle weren't doing it with me, I probably would have bailed and I probably would have said, no, I'm starting this after I get healthy. Like that would have been the smart thing to do. But you guys were already doing it, and I was like, all right, we're all doing this together. I'm not quitting. But the increase in choline. So Robert Sykes called me out on that. He's like, you're doing it for the choline, huh? And I was like, yeah, and he, like that's part of it. And he goes, keto bricks have more choline than beef tallow.
Oh shit!
And I was like, oh heck yeah! So I'm pretty amped about reintroducing them for that reason too.
Is there a specific one, or is it all the bricks that have more choline in them and whatnot, or is there? Because I know some of the different brick flavors have different profiles and just like ingredients.
I could be wrong, but I think he said it was the cacao butter, which I believe is is actually the primary fat that he uses in all of them.
Okay, right on. Just more reason to love the keto bricks.
Right. Absolutely. And then yeah, so when I finish, I'm going to be finishing my 60 days the week that I'm actually being featured on his channel again. So I'll be like, for sure to be chowing down on like 5 of them in front of him to make up for how bad I felt. Cool. Okay, so we're putting keto bricks back in. Let's look at your macros first, though,
Okay.
because that'll have the most direct impact on your body composition, right?
Yeah.
So you want to compete at a stage weight of 165, you said?
Yeah, I was thinking because like I'm smack in the middle. I could do either 181 or 165, and I don't know. I don't want to get too. I don't know. I guess I'd rather kind of stay where I'm at and just keep leaning out and just stay strong and just do the 165. Like I feel like I'll be the most competitive there with my lifts.
Okay, so we got 5 pounds to lose between now and
June 8th.
and June 8th.
So plenty of, a lot of wiggle room.
Well, I vote we push the envelope. I mean, why not? I think we should. We should get your protein. We should get your protein back up to 160.
Okay.
Or close to that. If your body fat percentage right now is about 10%, right?
According to the scale I stepped on, it said I was at 11.1. But I don't know. I haven't actually got like a DEXA scan or anything like these Amazon scales. I'm not sure how accurate they are.
That's close enough. So I mean, simple math. 10%. We're just rounding, but 10% of 170 is 17. So that means that if we subtract that from 170, that would put you at 153, right? So probably like 153 is where your lean body mass is at. So yeah, 160 grams of protein will definitely be safe there. Your macros right now are 120 protein, no carbs, and 130 fat.
Correct.
So, so from there, I think, and that's been loose because you've been going higher here and there, but that's kind of where we've been.
I just been like enjoying meat, eating meat type of thing. So I probably could have lost even more weight, to be honest, if I actually was strict with the meal plan. But I was just like, you know what, I'm really craving some meat.
Yeah. If we're increasing your protein by 40 grams, I'm kind of nervous to increase your fat like too much faster than that. So let's just put your fat up to 140.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bet that this will not cause you to gain weight. If maybe it will. I don't think it will. If it does, then we still have plenty of time to recover from that. But I think that you should be as I think you should be as big and full as you can. And so as long as that scale keeps going down, man, we're doing exactly what we need to do.
Perfect. I'm excited. Yeah, so probably just bring in some leaner meats and whatnot, or I could. I'm trying to think. So like with the keto brick in there, that'll be a lot of the fats coming from the brick. Or are you thinking probably like half a brick?
Yeah. So right now, like this has been most of your days. Let's see, six ounces of ground beef with rendered beef tallow in the morning, and that's not too long after your workout. And then you have bone broth with 4 more ounces of ground beef later, and then you have your steak at night, which is your ribeye with rendered beef tallow. So personally, man, I've always been a fan of having keto bricks post workout because it has because it's with whey protein, and so if there's anything in your diet that is going to spike your insulin now, it's going to be that, and because there's carbohydrates in it. So if we're going to put that in your plan, that should definitely be post workout, and then you have that fat free energy the rest of the day. And then the way that I always do it is have more of my steaks towards the evening. So I'm thinking we do more steaks and less ground. And then keto brick post workout, and I'll send you an email with all this, so don't feel like you need to write it down.
Okay.
And then whatever your balance is at the end of the day, we'll just fill that in with more ribeye and more tallow.
Perfect. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and actually, your diet is going to be like the same as mine, bro. Like that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So,
Yeah.
I'm just going to have an entire keto brick, and then from there, it's just like, okay,
Fill in the
beef,
gaps.
tallow. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, man. Going back, this is something this should have been this should have been the number one thing that I told you, like the biggest victory that I've had so far with the Lion Diet. I was extremely embarrassed when I got my hair cut like 30 days ago, because I think I've shown it to you. I've had this huge thing on my forehead, right? Like this clogged sweat gland.
Oh.
Leave it to me to get a clogged saliva gland in my lip that had to be surgically removed like 5 years ago. Had
Oh.
nothing to do with bodybuilding or anything, right? And then this thing too. So yeah, I don't know, man. Just like I was worried that I would have to get it surgically removed, but check it
Yeah.
out. It's just
Oh yeah, I see.
it's just like what's that?
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, I see where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be like 5 times that size,
Oh,
and
so
so
it's just going away. Yeah.
when she cut my hair, she was like, "What the?" She was like, "What the heck is that?" And I was like,
Interesting.
"Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, it doesn't need surgery, but I think it was dairy." So it's like Taylor was shocked. She was like, is it even there anymore?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's right there." And so she looked closer, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there you go." So
Oh, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
thanks, man. Yeah, that was a pretty big win.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, all that to say that I'm not even going to reintroduce butter, specifically because of that, and just because of how
Oh,
good I've been for how good I've been able to make tallow now at this point. I'm like,
why go
what?
back?
Yeah. Why would I go back? um, I don't have Stephen Thomas's book in front of me, I'm reading Stephen Thomas's book right now called How to Be a Carnivore. It's super good. So I'm going to have him on Carnivore Coaches Corner here in like a couple weeks and ask him some questions about it. But on one of the pages, he goes, was a chapter was on the chapter of chapter 8, I believe, on reintroducing foods,
Mhm.
and he goes, the question I always ask people is, why would you want to reintroduce foods? Like if you've reduced your inflammation, if you've healed your gut, if you've done whatever it was that you were trying to do with the Lion Diet, lost weight, whatever. Most people don't go to the Lion Diet for weight loss, but that is like usually just like something that happens, and I think it's great for weight loss personally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to reintroducing foods, it's like why would you do that? Proverbs, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but just as a person, just as a dog returns to its own vomit, so also a fool returns to his own foolishness.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
that's something that I remind myself when I get off of a diet like this and go, okay, um, doesn't mean that we just go back to eating like we did when we were in college, right? It's like, okay, we made it this far, and so
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to put something back in, it's got to be strategic, and there's got to be a good reason for it. And I just, yeah, I see no reason to add just those few things that I mentioned. So
Actually, something I wanted to broadcast and tell you too is, so after we did like the 30 days on the Lion Diet, I know you're still doing it, but after like the 30 days, I wanted to see like what on that topic what I could reintroduce, and I had a can of sardines because I love sardines. So I had sardines, and I actually ended up. This never happened before, but post Lion Diet, I had the sardines rash again. Another rash broke out all over my upper arm, chest, everything, and I was like, "What the heck? Okay, no more of those. That's out, I guess."
yeah,
And the same thing happened too when I had on the topic of dairy. I had a whey protein shake another day just to see how that would be. Same thing. I broke out from that too. So it's kind
yeah.
of cool how the body responded, like just going strict and then trying to reintroduce some things and seeing what my body actually, caused inflammation and what I had reactions to that was causing stuff I just like overlooked.
Right. Um, as far as supplements go, what supplements are you going to be putting? Are you going to be packing, if anything? Are you going to take creatine?
Um, I kind of stopped once I got all the red meat I was doing. I don't know if it would be better just to kind of, too much creatine can't hurt or whatnot, but I'd probably bring back in some creatine if there's one you'd recommend. And then, yeah, I'd probably just keep with the salts, and yeah, probably just stick with the creatine for right now.
Okay. Yeah. Now would be the time to try it. Most powerlifters, most everybody, to my knowledge, just uses creatine monohydrate. To answer your question, this one cost about twice as much.
Mhm.
And so like for people on a budget, usually like they just want to like get bigger and grow. I'm just like just take creatine monohydrate. It's not worth the extra money.
Yeah.
What I take is creatine glycerol phosphate. So there's a glycerol bond attached. There's a glycerol, just like it sounds, a glycerol and a phosphate bond attached molecule attached to the creatine, and it makes it more bioavailable. It gets pulled directly into your bloodstream, and so it doesn't go through like your entire digestive tract like creatine monohydrate does. And same thing with glutamine. So this is why I take transalynyl glutamine instead of L-glutamine. And these are and since the CEO of Metabolic Nutrition, Jay, we were having a conversation a couple of years ago, and he explained to me the science and how it worked. And then I realized that that I had more explosive strength in the gym. And like when I did that with a side by side with creatine monohydrate. Anyway, like I said, this is years ago.
Yeah.
Long story short, I've been taking creatine glycerol phosphate ever since, and that's what my competition coach, who is not a carnivore, recommended. He was the one that actually turned me on to it in the first place. He goes, everybody else is going to be cutting creatine before their show, but he goes, if you take creatine glycerol phosphate, it's different. It'll stay inside your muscle bellies where you want it, and it's not going to spill out into your subcutaneous layer. So then you like that because that would make you look watery on stage.
Right.
So that sold me on CGP, and like I said, I've been taking that ever since.
And that's right on the. Where do you get that? Just right on the.
You can buy it from me, bro. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll send you one. We'll talk about it after we're done. I'll just send it to you.
I did snag one of those those ketone trackers too that you use.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I got an email saying that someone used our affiliate link. So great.
Yeah, I used that code. I snagged it, so it should be here tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm
Cool,
excited.
cool.
I had to track my ketones.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, and like I said, this is a $300 investment. So like if anybody's ever gonna if anybody's ever is like on a budget, it's like no, dude. Like you do not need one of these. But like if you're a nerd or a coach like Michael and I are,
Yeah,
and this is something to where like you're really tracking every single detail and you want to see how your body's responding to everything. It's great. What you got to keep in mind with it is just because it says that you're that you're not in ketosis, it doesn't mean that you necessarily are, because it only tests for one type of ketone, and it
mm,
doesn't test for beta hydroxybutyrate, or however you pronounce it. I'm sorry, BHB. That's the one that it doesn't test for. This one tests for ACE, and this is all on, I think, like episode 47 or something of our podcast, way back in the day when we were when we had the inventor Jim from BioSense on our show. So he can explain it 10 times better than me. But basically, it only tests for one type of ketones, and so when your body goes into ketosis, it might use one type, or it might use another type. So
oh,
you might test positive for you might test negative for one, but your body's making all kinds of BHB ketones, right?
okay.
That isn't something that your device is going to detect.
Yeah,
So like if you draw blood, then you have the opposite problem. Then you're testing for ketones that device can test for, but you're not testing for the ketones that are coming out of your breath. So it's complicated, but that's something that you have to keep in mind when you use it. But yeah, man, like I love it. It keeps me accountable. Like I'm not gonna
no,
lie, it's kind of like a non-scale victory, really. You know,
yeah.
it's like, all right, I mean, great. I'm in ketosis. Like I'm doing something right.
I love that. I love fixating and nerding out and just seeing how my body's responding. So that's those type of investments are worth it to me. Like you said, it keeps me accountable and lets me know that I'm doing the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, cool. Are you gonna put caffeine back in? I'm just curious.
Probably not. I was debating on bringing back in some energy drinks, maybe, but I don't know. I definitely don't miss like I think I might just like start adding in bone broth into my mornings, like as part of that ritual. Like 'cause
Yeah.
I don't really miss the coffee, like especially since I fixed my sleep and my energy feels better. Like I just don't know if I
Okay. So my challenge to you right now is to not be the dog that returns to its own vomit. Okay. So like if you don't need it, just go another week without it. And unless you have a really good reason to put it back in, I would say, yeah, I'm better than that.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I don't really feel like I need it.
Because
So
if anything now you'll notice that it'll if anything hurt your blood flow. It certainly won't help your blood flow in your workouts. And that's one of the other biggest things I noticed about it is is I'm kind of like not as motivated to start my workouts like the first 10 or 15 minutes, like I'm going through the motions. I'm blasting music. It's like, don't talk to me kind of thing.
gotta
And
get
then
yeah,
yeah, but then the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes after that, it's kind of like going for a long run. Like I just hit a point where I'm like, wow, now I feel like I could train forever. Where'd all
yeah,
this blood flow come from? Where'd this vascularity come from? Holy
yeah.
crap, I
I don't
just
want to
lifted
go back
more
to
than I did last week. Where did that come from? Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah,
And so it messes with your mind so much. That's the biggest reason people just people just won't cut it out or can't, like it feels like you need it, it almost feel like I've maybe I'm just exaggerating and being dramatic, but like I felt like I was gonna die when I cut it, man. But 2 weeks after cutting it, it was like I felt like it's embarrassing. Like I feel like I just got off of a bad relationship, that like a breakup that really needed to happen. Cool. Okay, working out, you're training. So, I'm not coaching your workouts. So, what have your workouts been looking like? Obviously, it's quite a bit different than the way that I train.
Mhm. Yeah, so I've been structuring it on 6 days a week, and right now with how I'm feeling, my frequency for benching is 4 times a week, and then I'm filling in squat and deadlifting in between all that based on my kind of recoverable volume that I can tolerate right now. So with the powerlifting training I'm doing more like a top set back down approach. So I'll work up to a top set of the prescribed weight I expect to hit for that week, and then I'll back off volume where I'll do 2 or 3 sets at a prescription of that top, a percentage of that top weight that I hit. And essentially, so it's a lot of RPE based training. So I kind of go off of how I'm feeling, and then from there I can auto regulate and scale up or back based on how I'm feeling. But I've been feeling so good. I've just been pushing all of my numbers. All my top sets have been exceeding expectations these last 2 days.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Like
That's amazing. All
yeah,
right.
I'm
Heck
like
yeah.
super pumped. I'm like super duper. I'm like really. Not only do I really love having something to train for, because I fixate on things. So when I have something at the end of the tunnel that gives me like, I wouldn't say purpose, but it definitely brings back the motivation into my training. Because when I was just going into lifting, I was just kind of going through the motions at one point. But now that I
Yeah.
set myself up for this meet, getting back on the platform, like I am like amped up and excited and just pushing numbers that I haven't pushed in a while at such a low body weight just has me super amped up.
Yeah, I love it. See, I'm the same in so many ways, man. Like, I have to have something on my calendar that's
Yeah.
like that's what I'm training for. It's like, okay, every bite of food that I eat and every set of dumbbell side laterals that I do adds up to is leading up to how I'm going to look on this event, right?
Mhm.
So like it makes no sense for me to compete anytime soon, right? Like like the time and the money that would cost, and like to like probably have a I don't know. I think right now I have a good chance at my pro card, but I don't. I don't want to just like throw everything at it and not be able to get it yet. So I'm like, all right, let's do this smart. Let's take a couple years to where I know for sure I can get my pro card,
Yeah.
and so I'm going to compete in 2 or 3 years. Okay, great, but it's too far out. So guest posing at the Open Natural, great. It's like I can guest pose,
Yeah.
not be judged, and not have to get so lean that I'm going to be sacrificing muscle tissue. I want to look big and full, kind of like Pumping Iron, like they did in the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and everything.
So that calendar date to look forward to. And when is that again?
Yep. Thanks. It's on August 31st.
August 31st. Okay. Yep. So a couple months after my meet.
Yep. Yeah. So after I finish the Lion Diet, I'll be exactly. So after I finish the next 30 days, I'll be 5 months out, and so then from there it'll be it'll be beef and keto bricks. Pretty much that's it all the way through the show.
Eating bricks. Hell yeah.
Yep. Um, what? Oh, yeah. I would. Do you guys lower your training volume at all as you get closer to the meet when you're cutting?
Yeah, typically everything kind of like titrate, like I scale back on the volume as it gets closer to meet day, to where I'll only work up to maybe 1 or 2 sets of everything as it gets closer, just to kind of. A lot of it just ends up becoming technique work, honestly, as you get closer to the meet. Like I'll just do very mild weight, just kind of working on your commands and just working on testing openers, and then that's like it. Like I just kind of go in, test my openers, work on the commands, and just getting it out, and just let my CNS recover, and just get myself ready for game day.
Yeah, good stuff. Um, that's that sounds kind of like how I'm training right now. um,
Oh, like the low volume.
yeah. So we have pretty much everybody, with a few exceptions, doing high intensity, low volume training right now. And this is what Coach Mark from Ireland taught me. I'm kind of curious as to how different this is from how you train, like getting up to a show, because like as a bodybuilder now, I didn't do this on my last prep. I kept my volume the same. If anything, I added a little bit more just to make sure that I'm one of those guys where it's like better to overtrain than to undertrain. You know,
Yeah,
like overtraining, I can live with myself after that. Undertraining, I can't live with that. You know,
too
it's
much.
like
No, yeah.
yeah, okay. So since then, I've become a little wiser, and I understand how the human body works better, and all that chronic inflammation leading up to an important event like that. That's your worst enemy, especially if you're burning fat. That's gonna force your body to hold on to more fat, and so. So now my strategy is this is exactly what we had Nate do at his show. This is what we have everybody doing that's cutting right now. And it's a new style of training for a lot of people. Most Americans train everything 3 sets of 10 for the most part, right? Or three or four sets of most exercises.
Yeah.
And I think that'll only get you so far, you know. So anyway, my workout today, which is pretty similar to how I'm training everybody. Oh, by the way, we're gonna take a deep dive into this again here next week. Our new bodybuilder that just signed with us from the UK, his name is Michael Payne. He's going to be competing in September, and this what I'm about to explain to you is how he like has always been training, and this is how most of the people that he knows trains. So this is definitely more popular, and it's something I see practiced a lot more internationally. Like I don't see a lot of people doing. I don't see anybody training like this here. But it's pretty much one set of every single exercise. So I did a total of 6 or 7 exercises. I'll just walk you through how it went. So to warm up, I started with tricep behind the neck pull aparts, band pull outs, just like that. So this is a shoulder and tricep workout. So I did that, and then rotator cuffs. So taking the band and going like this, where I put the band behind me, put it in front of me, and so that like got my rotator cuffs nice and warmed up. And then Coach Mark taught me this exercise in Body Shop, actually like the day before he competed. That guy doesn't stop, man. He did all of his client check-ins on competition day. Like
Oh my
woke
word.
up at 4 a.m. just like any other day. The guy's a freaking freak. Like no wonder
Wow.
no wonder he has 80 or 90 clients. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
he's got a waiting list booked out for months, man.
Oh my. Jeez.
he's he's a beast in every area of life. Okay, so 5-pound dumbbells. I did this for 4 minutes. Literally just did this today right before this podcast. So that's why I was 5 minutes late. Sorry again for that.
Okay.
So sitting on a bench, dumbbells out to the side, dumbbells in front, dumbbells over your head, dumbbells down, so they're out in front of you again, to the side and down. So you're working your front delts, side delts, rear delts, rotator cuffs, everything, right? So 4 minute burn.
Wow.
Pick your favorite 4 minute song and work out to it and sing to the lyrics and get your mind off of how bad your shoulders hurt. That's your job
Yeah.
for 4 minutes, right?
Right there.
So then 10 pounds after that for 45 to 60 seconds. And then oh yeah, and so after you hit failure on those, that's when you just burn out with side laterals. So like obviously it's going to be impossible to put the dumbbells over your head after like the first 2 or 3 minutes. So after that, you just quit putting them over your head and you're just doing side laterals. So then you're just tearing up the side deltoid. Little bit of stretching, little bit of stretching, a little bit of a break, and then 45 to 60 seconds. I don't know exactly how long I made it, but the same thing with 10-pound dumbbells. So then after that, like my shoulders are not only warm, but like I've seriously nailed every single one of those heads, right? But all my fast twitch fibers are like still ready to go. So after that, standing side laterals like Coach Greg Duchette, IFBB Pro teaches. So you're leaning forward and you have heavier dumbbells than what you can use with strict form, and you're using a little bit of glute and some spinal erectors to force them on the way out like that, and to force the weight up.
Yeah.
But you're lowering the weight very slow and controlled, and really thinking about your side delts when you do those. I like to do those with a belt. And then same thing, but leaning unilateral. So after that, and this is just one set of this exercise, grabbing a vertical support, leaning to the side. You have your dumbbell, and that hits like more of the top head of the side delt, right? So 13 on each arm for that. I'm starting everything with my right arm because that's my weak arm. My left arm is my strong arm. I'm right-handed, so I used to do it. What's that?
I was about to ask if you were right-handed or left-handed.
Yeah, so I'm right-handed, and I've been a fan of unilateral training for a while, and I got carried away with it. And so I was going hard on like all my left leg exercises, left arm exercises, and left back exercise, left pulling exercises, everything. So now I have the opposite problem. So now my left arm is in like left side of my body, everything is stronger than my right side of my body. So so all the rules have changed every time I do. So like these 13 reps that I did with 13 pounds for the side laterals. So I did this with every single exercise. So I started and did 13 reps with my right arm, and that's as many as I could possibly do. And I get a little ballistic with it, actually. Like you know what ballistic training is, right?
No, not too familiar. What's that guy about?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was like more of a lifting term, but ballistic training is when you kind of break form, and so like, especially if I'm leaning and using a side lateral and doing a side lateral, like I can use a lot of momentum, but I use that momentum to my advantage, and I'm still keeping my mind inside the muscle and being really strict about the negatives. But I'll do 13, and I was like, okay, that's as many like good clean reps as I could get.
Yeah.
That's as many reps as I can do without feeling like my form breaks down to the point to where it's just not worth doing the exercise anymore. So it's like the form wasn't perfect, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
And then right. And then I'm just and it just means that I have to get the same number on my left, even though I could still do a couple more with my left if I really wanted to. So when you're training to failure and addressing muscle imbalances, you always want to attack your weak body part and go to failure. And then on the body part that you're matching to it, you just have to do the same number of reps, and that's it. You don't want to do anymore. So it makes unilateral training like a little easier mentally too, because then you're not like, man, I have to do 2 failure sets like back to back. Like that sucks, man. Like that's hard, right?
You just match it at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, now I have to do just as many with the left, and this is the easier part. So we got the hardest part done. Like mentally, that's what you're telling yourself when you do the rest of the next set.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
That's cool.
So then after that, my assistant track coach showed me this one. I feel like an idiot. I've never seen this exercise done before, but like apparently it's like pretty common. But you just lay flat down, face down on a bench, and do like a Y raise, or like a bent over lateral raise, but with your chest supported for your rear delts. Yeah, I was like, wow, why have I never done that exercise before? So I started doing those lately. That finished off my side delts. After that, I mean that's like pretty much all like the isolation work that I decided to do for shoulders. So from there, it's time to do a couple compound lifts. So my compound lifts were a machine on the machine that I have here at home. Basically a machine shoulder press unilateral. 8 rep warm up, 2 rep warm up, 1 rep warm up, a little bit heavier than what I would use for my working set. And then I back off to where I think I should go for my working set. So I picked so I picked 50 pounds plus the weight of the chain. I like to put chains on it because it brings in more triceps, and I get a better pump out of the top. Also, the most dangerous part of a shoulder pressing exercise is the lowest part, right? That's where your clavicle, your rotator cuffs are the most vulnerable. So, and I'm kind of making a behind the neck press out of it too. I know behind the neck presses aren't like the most ergonomic thing, and they're like bad for your neck and everything. But I'm a bodybuilder. Like I don't know. I'll take some neck pain if it if it grows my shoulders how I want
Yeah.
it to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of those risk versus reward exercises. I don't know. Like you be the judge of that. But so I did yeah 12 plus a hold on the left, and then 12 plus no excuse me 12 plus a hold on the right first, and then 12 plus a hold on the left, and then after that same thing but bilateral. Don't need a warm-up exercise for it, even though I usually put it in people's plans just like to be safe and precautionary. And if it's the first time you're doing this, then yeah, you definitely want like a couple warm-up sets before every single exercise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But after you get the hang of this style of training, then you can use intuition as to like when it's okay to skip one. I'm like, okay, look, I just went to failure on this same thing, but unilateral, right? So then I just made a bilateral exercise out of it, and I got a PR. I got a PR by 1 rep. So I'm like, okay, great. Like I don't need to do anything more than that. Anything more is going to be overkill. So I still took that set to failure. I did a drop set out of it, but like it would make no sense for me to do an additional set. My body doesn't need that. It got the stimulus to grow. It got everything that it needed. So as long as I feed it protein, water, and make sure I get good sleep, that's all you need to build muscle, right? Not carbs. So then from there, front delts is kind of the only part of my shoulders that I didn't hit, and it's also my strongest point and most people's strongest point. No offense to you power lifters, but definitely your guys' strongest point because of all the bench pressing.
All the bench pressing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So 75 pound easy curl bar with a close grip. That's been that's my favorite front delt exercise for sure. So I did 20 reps there, and then skull crushers with a reverse grip for the lateral head of the triceps. And then basically the only thing I was missing after that was just the long head of my triceps. So I just did 60-pound curl bar French presses,
Oh, nice.
to stretch that out with partial reps in between every full rep on the bottom, because the best part of that lift is, I mean, the purpose of that lift is to stretch your triceps, right?
Yeah.
So so whenever I do an isolation exercise like that, I always try to do extra partial reps or put extra emphasis wherever it is. Yeah. So here at the stretch, especially at the end of the workout, perfect way to
Yeah.
end it. Pose
Yeah.
for 5 minutes. So how is that like? I don't know, man. Like, is that like anything close to what it looks like when you guys train when you lower volume, or do you just like simply do less sets? Like, do you train to failure more or less?
It's pretty similar to that, honestly, closer to a meet. Yeah, the only thing we really manipulate is the main moves, like the compound lifts, bench squat, deadlift, are the only things we really play around with intensity wise, just because we don't want to fry. You don't want your CNS to be too fried when it gets close to like that game day where you got to test your absolute strength in front of a big crowd. The adrenaline's going, so you want to. That's like the big thing is managing fatigue. But a lot of my training looks very similar to that. 1 to 2 sets of everything, just kind of hitting, get that growth set, and then kind of moving on. It's just more or less the volume with the main sets that I play around with based on how I'm feeling and how I'm recovering. But yeah, it's very similar to what I'm doing.
Yeah, not to be stereotypical again, but powerlifters seem to be people that spend more time than most athletes in the gym.
Yeah, pull up the camping chair, and sit.
Yeah. What was the joke that all the bodybuilders were throwing around? The the powerlifters didn't even realize that we had a pandemic. They were resting between sets the entire time.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. um, so like when you're so if you're going to do 1 or 2 sets of an exercise and no more than that, like how long do you spend on bench then? Like do you spend 5 or 10 minutes warming up and then just hit it and then move on to the next one, or do you get through your warm-ups pretty quick? I guess the biggest complaint that I've had when I've put people on this style of training has been it takes too long to do the warm-ups.
Mm. Yeah, I would say for me, the warm ups are dose dependent, depending on how I'm feeling going into the day. If I feel like I need more rotator cuff or pec warming up, I'll spend more time there. But typically, my structures, I'll spend 5 to 10 minutes warming up, making sure I'm good, warm, got a good pump going before even getting to the bench, squat, or deadlift. And then the primary move of the day, I'll spend 20 to 30 minutes on just because I want to take my time, get the technique right. Because I do believe that absolute strength is a test, is a skill. It's a skill, and I want to make sure everything's coordinated, firing right. And then my hypertrophy and my more bodybuilding accessory stuff, that takes me about 20 minutes as well. So it ends up being about 5 to 10 minute warm up, 20 to 30 minutes on the main lift, and then 20 minutes on whatever weak points, bodybuilding type stuff to help pursue and push and develop my main lifts. So I'm not one of those powerlifters who spends 2 to 3 hours in the gym. I try to be in and out within an hour, 10 minutes at the most, just because I'm also timing my rest periods. So like minute 30, 2 minutes in between everything. I'm trying to, because I want to work on my conditioning too. So
Wow.
I'm also like, yeah. So I really am very thorough with my training sessions.
Yeah. It seems like it seems like powerlifting is more of a sport and more of a science. And the further that I get, and the further and the deeper and the more experience I get into my bodybuilding journey, I'm finding it to be more of an art than a science.
Mm-hmm.
To a point to where like my workouts are just more intuitive than they ever have been. I wrote down everything that I just told you so that I could explain it to you. But but I mean, really, just like looking at the paper, like it's hard to make sense out of it. It's hard to put into words how to get a pump and how to get the right muscle activation. Whereas
Yeah.
sometimes I kind of miss the simplicity of back what like I was never a competitive power lifter, but
Yeah.
my lifts got as high as a 535 deadlift conventional, a 335, a 335. These are all keto, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
A 335 deadlift. Oh wait, no, sorry, that would suck. A 335 bench and a 425 squat.
Nice.
So
Those
the
are even to my numbers.
Oh, really? Okay. But it came at a cost, and this is when I just threw in. This is when I said enough of this because it was at the end of the bulk. It was at the end of my keto carnivore bulk when I was getting ready to compete, and I messed up my shoulder. Like I could feel that it got messed up, and something wasn't right after I benched 335,
Yeah.
and then the next week I low bar squatted 425 and I threw my shoulder out doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's better, your sumo deadlift or your conventional?
Definitely sumo. I'm definitely built for sumo. I have like
Uh,
wider hips and longer legs, so I can really like get into a good position and wedge my hips in, and really, I definitely get a lot more torque and a lot more drive from my sumo deadlifting.
wow.
So,
Wow. For me, it was always conventional. Cool, cool. Um, what have you been teaching your clients lately? What's one thing that you just find yourself repeating a lot? Like, you guys need to know this. You guys need to know that.
uh, the big themes lately with my check-ins have been less is more. Like I
Okay.
have a lot of clients who keep trying to do more cardio, keep trying to spend more time in the gym, because their mindset, they view it as punishment rather than trying to build their bodies, focus on building muscle, get in, get out, get the
Right.
objective done. Like I try to explain to them, you're going in with a job, there's a task at hand. Go in, get your tough sets, get out, fuel your body, and recover. And then outside of the gym aspect with nutrition, I've just been preaching about animal based whole food nutrition, trying to get people to cut the multiple meals a day.
Good.
I got people telling me like, oh, should I be eating 4 or 5 meals a day? And I'm trying to like break them of those habits. Like, just do this stuff, try it for a month, see how you feel. So a lot of it's just been trying to break old habits and mindsets with clients.
Have you found that going keto and that specifically the elimination of carbs helps with the mindset of overtraining?
I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's why I say that because my experience has been whenever I eat whenever every time I would eat carbs, like especially if it was a refeed, I felt like I needed to go put those carbs to work,
yeah,
otherwise I was going to get fat. So I
Yeah.
find so I found myself doing on all my preps before I went keto, doing an insane amount of cardio and eating an insane amount of carbs. Excuse me, not an insane amount of carbs, but a high carb like standard bodybuilding macro diet, right?
Yeah. I
And
would
then
agree with that.
and then after eliminating carbs, it's like I just never feel like that feeling. Like I never feel like I'm having to work off food because I feel like everything that I'm eating is exactly what I'm supposed to be eating.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. I've noticed that. I know prior when I would be on a standard American diet or I would have like high carb days, and the mindset was always, I gotta go kill it in the gym, or I gotta go, work off, yeah, like you said, work off these carbs or put these
Yep.
carbs to use type of thing. But I never have that mentality with, the high fat protein protocol where just because I feel great, like I don't feel that lethargic. I need to walk anything off, work anything off, like everything's just doing what it's supposed to do.
Right. Absolutely. Well, brother, we have covered a lot of topics, man. This has been an absolute pleasure, dude. I am so, for whatever it's worth, man. I'm so proud of you for finishing the Lion Diet too.
Oh, thank
It was
you. I am too.
it was great having the accountability. I mean, you, me, Danielle. I mean, for we kind of fell out of touch like the last week or two. Really, it's just like whatever. Day number 24, big deal. Same
Yeah,
thing we did for the last 21 days. But those first couple weeks, man, like I needed you guys, and
yeah,
so like my worst fear was, was you bailing out halfway through, or her bailing out, or worse, or worse yet, myself bailing out. But we all did it, and apparently we're all super glad that we did. So I'm gonna record with her, when she finishes up. But yeah, she's gonna do another couple weeks. So I think she gets the blue ribbon for fasting on Fridays, though. I wasn't up for the fasting.
no, we can do that. Yeah, not quite there.
Yeah. All right, man. Where can people go to find out more about you, your coaching, all that stuff?
Yeah, so if they go, you can find me around on Instagram at m_Miola, and that's where you'll find out all about me. And there's a link right to my online platform where I work with all types of clients and train people through my kickoff platform. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yep, simple enough. All right, go follow him, everybody. Go sign up for a consultation. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll be checking in again real soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
You bet. Hey, podcast. Thanks so much for joining us for this entire conversation with Coach Michael. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. A couple updates before we sign off as to what's going on here. I am now the proud father of a 6-year-old boy. How the heck did that happen so fast? Despite our disabilities, he's been growing into a well-mannered, brilliant young man, making leaps and bounds at school and all kinds of new creations with his Legos. Also, he is into Technics now, which is a win for me too, because even being 31 years old, I'm not afraid to say it, but those are definitely the coolest type of Legos. So Mr. Edward Goke. I'm sorry, brother, if I mispronounce your name. But it's Mr. Edward put up a video about me saying why you lose weight on keto. This is his reaction video. He put it up to analyze and elaborate on YouTube on one of my recent bad coach call out videos on some points that I had taught. So not surprisingly, I learned quite a bit as well, as he took a deeper dive into the science of keto and some of those topics that I was talking about. Check out Edward's channel, all right? His views on nutrition are brilliant, and I love how entertaining he keeps his material. Our athlete spotlight of the week, other than Coach Mike, that is actually Steph Lewis from New York, USA. She is a strength and hypertrophy athlete. Instagram, Steffi_lifts with a Z at the end. She lost 3 pounds on her first week with our meal plan after her one-on-one consultation that we had. Right on track for her 6-week fat loss goal. You rock, Steph. BJ Thornton says every great change starts like falling dominoes. So true. Podcast review for this show, the supersetyourlife.com podcast, is from Sarah Lawrence from Bellevue, Washington, U.S. Thanks for becoming part of my Monday morning routine. I love that Spotify played you automatically this morning as I entered the car for the gym. You rock. Hey, you rock, Sarah, and so does Spotify, apparently. Chris and Eric Martinez were our business coaches, our online business coaches that helped us get started in 2019. And I listened to every single one of their podcasts up through the WNBF Edmonton, which was my last show that I did before going keto. They kept me focused and motivated through many, many long workouts and cardio sessions because we knew that we were born to be online competition coaches. It's a blessing to pay it forward. Proverbs 17:24 says, wisdom is the focus of the perceptive, but a fool's eyes roam to the ends of the earth. Proverbs 17:24. I'll say it again because I feel like I messed it up. Wisdom is the focus of the perceptive, but a fool's eyes roam to the ends of the earth. Powerful. Podcast review for Carnivore Coaches Corner, which is our nutrition channel. We are now rated number 1 in the United Kingdom. Yay. Praise God. Thanks a lot, guys, for everybody that's been subscribing and sharing the show, giving us your feedback, everything. That's how we got this far. So this is from someone that is anonymous. Women and girls just aren't told about how our weight fluctuates and what causes it. The focus on the number of the scale is pushed as the be-all, end-all. And that was in response to session number 46, Homesteading, Thyroid Health, and the Great Olive Oil Debate with Samantha Cambeck. You are so right, whoever you are. Thank you for writing in. Thanks for your feedback. Samantha certainly shed a lot of light on that topic. She is brilliant. Wholeheartedly agree. YouTube review for our YouTube channel, Skull Bells TV, is from Anik Hassan. Loved watching Colt Milton demonstrate the quarter rep method for seated hamstring curls. Thanks for the tips and motivation to improve my workout routine. That's on our seated hamstring curl video from 1 or 2 weeks ago. Thanks a lot for the comment, Anik. To be honest, I've finished all of my leg days at the gym with this move. Just one set is all you need. Just let me know how you like these compared to stiff leg deadlifts. You know me, always trying to use as little weight as possible to do as much damage to the muscle fibers being targeted as possible. All right, and our store review is from J.R. Campos from Battleground, Washington, U.S. Easiest way to meet my electrolyte requirements. Thanks, Miltons. And that was for the Celtic Sea Salt Pink Potassium Cave Salt. Hey, thanks for the order, pal. It's our base for everything that we cook and use in this house. Glad that you like it. And our dad joke of the week is actually not a dad joke, but I thought that this was absolutely hilarious, and so I decided to share this one, all right? This is a quote from Encyclopedia Britannica in 1911. We're going to close up with a little bit of scripture, and so I thought this was a good segue into this. Okay. This is what they said. Quote from Encyclopedia Britannica, 1911. The possibility that we can ever again recover the correct pronunciation of ancient Hebrew is as remote as the possibility that a Jewish empire will ever again be reestablished in the Middle East. Ezekiel 37, verses 11 through 3. So here again on our Wednesday night Bible studies, we'll be doing Ezekiel chapter 36 and 37. And if you miss it, the recordings are on our website at the bottom of supersetyourlife.com where it says resources. That's where we have all the recordings for our past sessions. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 11 through 13. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Look how they say, our bones are dried up and our hope has perished. We are cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the Lord God says. I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them, my people, and lead you into the land of Israel. You will know that I am the Lord, my people, when I open your graves and bring you up from them. And touching back to what we were talking about at the start of the podcast, actually, behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. That's Ezekiel chapter 37, 5b. It's actually our verse for the week here at supersetyourlife.com. That is referring to this exact same prophecy. So, too bad that the Britannica staff wasn't aware that over 2,500 years ago, God already said that Israel would be regathered, and our ancestors saw this fulfilled on May 14th, 1948 as a result of World War II. I believe this is a lesson in showing that we should trust God and His Word, by which history itself is obedient and not the opinions of people who sound really smart. People are imperfect. God is perfect, and so is His Word. History and science always end up proving His Word to be true. Life is easier if you just accept everything that this word says at face value and don't try to argue with Yah. That is Yahweh. All right. Our superset scripture for the week, backsliding. I thought this would be a good topic. So Proverbs 26:11 says, this is what I couldn't remember earlier today. Proverbs 26:11, as a dog returns to its vomit, so also a fool repeats his foolishness. This is the proverb that jumped to my mind when reading from Stephen Thomas's ebook, How to Be a Carnivore, which I highly recommend. Here's what he says in chapter 8. After following a strict carnivore diet for a period of time, you may be wondering how to reintroduce other kinds of foods back into your diet. I simply ask, why would you do that? The foods that make you sick or overweight or both have no place in your way of life. Foods that make you anxious or lose sleep don't need to be reintroduced. The carnivore way of eating is also a way of life. There. I hope that sheds more light on what Michael and I were talking about earlier. That's what I was trying to say. So we have rules in this house, the Milton house, and one of the most important rules is no backsliding. Having a bad day on your diet, your attitude, playing wrong notes here and there on the guitar, forgetting to pick up your toys, all this kind of stuff happens, and that's okay because we're humans, and the only one that was ever perfect is who we worship on Sundays. What is not okay is backsliding. Backsliding is defined in the dictionary as a noun, the act of relapsing into bad ways or error. So when those mistakes become habits is when we have a problem. The solution, as with all problems, look to and model the behavior of Jesus Christ. Matthew 5:6 says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." And Matthew 5:16, right after that, shortly after that, he says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." We worship a God of grace, but that is not a license to sin habituously and carelessly. We're better than that, and we are wise to lovingly hold each other to a higher standard. So I try to look at food the same way. Eliminating caffeine has helped me become less anxious, it's improved my sleep quality, and it's given me higher self-confidence knowing that I beat something that I seriously couldn't stop drinking. Really embarrassing. Ghost energy drinks in particular. So I reintroduced it in the winter, and with it came all the reasons why I cut it out in the first place. So the last 30 days on the Lion Diet have once again reminded me that life is just better without it, starting with muscle pumps in the gym because caffeine restricts blood flow, just like Mike and I were talking about again. So in what area of life, I'm going to leave you with this. As a listener, what area of life are you selling yourself short that wasn't an issue before? If nothing comes to mind, pray for an answer, and you might be surprised what the answer is because he is listening. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining again. Share it with a friend if you found it helpful. We'll catch you later this week on episode 236 of the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast.